नमस्कार, और एक बार फिर हाजिर हैं हम जैमपॉट अड्डा का अगला एपिसोड लिए। ये है तीसरा एपिसोड, जहां हम लाए हैं कुछ और गपशप और कुछ गाना बजाना। मैं सुकन्या, आज शाम में आपके साथ। But before we move ahead, thank you to those of you who have been sending feedback, suggestions, demands to make this effort better and better with every episode. And this means a lot to us who are working behind the scenes. आज अड्डा के खास मेहमान है अतुल कोचर. He is a global icon in Indian cuisine. Chef Atul Kochhar, much respected and admired, he is an inspiration for many today. He will share his memories of the city, his schools, friends and much more. लेकिन उसके पहले हमारे साथ है एक और प्रतिभा, अपने ही जमशेदपुर की अमृता मलिक. वेलकम अमृता टू द अड्डा. कैसी हो?
नमस्कार आप सबको. मैं सही हूँ, अभी जैसा होना चाहिए. आई होप यू ऑल आर डूइंग वेल एंड थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दिस इनविटेशन. आई जस्ट लव टू कम ओवर हियर. थैंक यू.
Amrita is known in the music circles of Jamshedpur, but for those who don't know her, Amrita has completed Sangeet Prabhakar in Hindustani classical vocals. Currently in charge of music in KPS Gamaria, she has been former head of music department in Sangeet Bharati, Nritya Kala Kendra, Kalakriti Academy at Jamshedpur. She has recorded bhajans for T-Series years back. And while pursuing music, she has excelled in academics and completed her Nritya Prabhakar in Kathak dance. अमृता, संगीत की तालीम कहाँ से ली तुमने? किस तरह के गाने पसंद करती हो?
संगीत के गुरु मेरे बहुत जन रह चुके हैं, लेकिन सबसे पहले मेरी माता श्री डालिया भट्टाचार्य जी से मैंने अपना वोकल सीखा, क्लासिकल वोकल. स्टिल आई एम परसुइंग दैट वोकल ट्रेनिंग फ्रॉम श्रीमान नीलांजन मित्रा जी. और मैं विश्व भारती से रविंद्र संगीत की तालीम ले चुकी हूँ श्रीमान ध्रुव पांडा जी से. मैंने कथक डांस सीखा है श्रीमान परेश नाथ जी, और फिर उसके बाद मैंने सीखा है श्रीमान संदीप बोस जी से. प्रदीपशील जी मेरे तबले पर थे, और मैं बहुत भाग्यवती समझती हूँ अपने आप को कि इन गुरुओं का सानिध्य मुझे प्राप्त हुआ. और रही बात कि कौन किस तरह के गाने मैं पसंद करती हूँ, तो देयर इज नो बार, देयर इज नो एंड. आई लव टू सिंग इन ऑल द लैंग्वेजेस. मैं कुछ भी हमेशा मैं सीखना चाहती हूँ, नए तरीके से हो, पुराने तरीके हो, देशी भाषा हो, विदेशी भाषाएं हो, कुछ भी हो, मुझे सब तरह के गाने पसंद हैं.
That's incredible. आज क्या सुनाने वाली हूँ हम सबको?
My favorite singer is none other than आशा भोसले. मैं बहुत पसंद करती हूँ उनके गाने. तो मैं सबसे पहला जो मेरी गीत की प्रस्तुति मैं देने जा रही हूँ फिल्म इजाजत से, और जिसके म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर आर.डी. बर्मन जी थे. और इस मूवी के सॉन्ग छोटी सी कहानी से ये गीत मैं आपके सामने पेश करने जा रही हूँ.
That was incredible, Amrita. अब क्या है? अब क्या सुनाओगी हम सबको?
एक और बहुत ही मेरे दिल के करीब एक मूवी उमराव जान, जिसके म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर खयाम साहब थे, और उसका एक गजल, उस मूवी के एक गजल है, इन आंखों की मस्ती। तो ये गीत मैं आपके सामने प्रस्तुत करने जा रही हूँ। इन आंखों की मस्ती के इन आँखों की मस्ती के मस्ताने हजारों हैं, मस्ताने हजारों हैं। इन आँखों के बावरता, इन आँखों के बावरता अफसाने हजारों हैं, अफसाने हजारों हैं। इन आँखों की मस्ती के। एक तुम ही नहीं तन्हा, एक तुम ही नहीं तन्हा, उल्फत में मेरी रुस्वा, उल्फत में मेरी रुस्वा। इस शहर में तुम जैसे, इस शहर में तुम जैसे दीवाने हजारों हैं, दीवाने हजारों हैं। इन आँखों की मस्ती के मस्ताने हजारों हैं, इन आँखों की मस्ती के। एक सिर्फ हमीम को, एक सिर्फ हमीम, एक सिर्फ हमीम को आँखों से पिलाते हैं, आँखों से पिलाते हैं। कहने को तो दुनिया में, कहने को तो दुनिया में मैं खाने हजारों हैं, मैं खाने हजारों हैं। इन आँखों की मस्ती के दीवाने हजारों हैं।
We will be back with some more songs from Amrita, but before that, we have our Adda with Chef Atul Kochhar. एक ऐसी हस्ती जिन्होंने इंडियन क्विजीन को दिया एक अलग पहचान. He is a name to reckon with in the global culinary world. Based in London, he is a chef, an entrepreneur, a restaurateur, and a TV personality. He grew up in Jamshedpur, finished his school from Shiksha Niketan and Chinmay Vidyalaya in Telco Colony, and then completed his diploma from IHM Chennai. He started his career with the Oberoi Group of Hotels before moving to London. He is the first chef to be awarded a Michelin star for Indian cuisine at a young age of 31. Michelin star is the hallmark of fine dining quality with restaurants around the world. Atul runs award-winning restaurants in London and is working on expanding his footprint. His innovative take on food continues to win Atul an admiring public through regular TV appearances including BBC's Great British Menu, BBC's Saturday Kitchen, James Martin, Saturday Morning, Yes Chef, Curry On, and The Chef. Most recently, Atul's entrepreneurial nature made him the perfect investor on BBC Two and Netflix series £1 Million Menu. He is also an ambassador to the British Asian Trust, supporting high-impact charities in South Asia and the UK that include the likes of Save the Children, Find Your Feet, and Great Ormond Street, a charity which is close to his heart. An ardent fan of cricket and mountaineering, he is also an author of many cookbooks that include 30-Minute Curries, Simple Indian, Atul's Curries of the World, Fish Indian Style. When we talk about Atul, your profile, and some of my friends in the industry, and when they heard I was talking to you, said that he is our idol. You are getting to talk to him. He's a wizard. He's a craftsman. And they gave me all sorts of lovely adjectives to define who you are today. And I said, of course, that's the reason I'm talking to him. But when you look back, and you see, and coming from a small city like Jamshedpur, and today, you've become a name to reckon with and a stature, globally that you're known. How was this journey? I mean, what was the journey all about, starting in mid-80s from a small city of Jamshedpur to where you are today?
The part of my education in Jamshedpur has been through different schools. So I was in Arya Samaj Mandir first in Sakchi for quite a long time. My parents had moved from Jamshedpur to a place called Shahjahanpur for some time. My father had started a new business of petrol pump. So we moved there and then moved back to Jamshedpur. Then mom decided that she wanted to change her job. So mom moved to Shiksha Niketan. That's where we moved as well. That's where I met your mom as well. And after doing my 10th from Shiksha Niketan, I moved to Chinmaya Vidyalaya. That's where I did my +2. So journey through Jamshedpur, is a bubble. It gives you a very different image of the entire world. And you don't get to see the rest of the world unless you step out of Jamshedpur. And most of us Jamshedpurians, we don't step out of Jamshedpur. We hate stepping out of Jamshedpur. We are so comfortable there. It's a cosmopolitan place. It's our oasis. It's a world there. It's a clean place. Medical system is good. Tatas have been super good to humans. They have looked after their people really, really well. And I think that's a very ideal scenario. But when you step out of Jamshedpur, you realize how tough world is. You feel that somebody has thrown you in front of a train. You realize it very quickly. So my journey through Jamshedpur was, everyone was an ambitious person there. Whosoever I would speak to, their parents would be in one way or other associated with Tata Company. And in my days, the common phrase was, "Bade ho ke tu bhi loha pitega kya?" So everyone used to say, "Nahi, maine loha nahi pitna." I think that was the whole thing that time. So either you were going to become a doctor or an engineer, but hidden dream for everyone was to get involved in Jamshedpur one way or other. So somewhere down the line, I got attracted towards food. My father ran a canteen in Shiksha Niketan school, and after my school hours, I used to go help him out because he had no help that time. He couldn't afford one, so I was called upon, and I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun learning basics from him, and he was a self-taught chef and magician of flavors. So I kind of had my first lesson there, and as I progressed through there, I was good in studies. I did fairly well in my 10th. I did very well in my +2 as well. I could have easily gone for medical school, but I expressed to my parents very clearly that I wish to go to hotel school. I had met a lady called Mrs. Surti. She was, I think she was some human resources in Tata's, and her two sons, I remember only one name, Jamshed, I think. He's still involved with Taj Hotels. I still have to track him down and thank him for what his mother has done to me. And I met Jamshed and his brother, and they both were in hospitality, and they were very smart humans, really, really good, bit older than me. But I just looked at them, and the way they spoke, the way they conducted with the world, I was totally in awe with them, totally mesmerized. And Mrs. Surti and Mr. Surti both told me in detail about how hospitality works. Living in Jamshedpur, you had no idea. When you said that you want to work in hotel industry, the only image you could conjure in your mind was kahin pe baith ke koi samosa bana raha hai and you're going to serve that. That's what hotel meant in those days. But when you come to hospitality, you realize that it's a proper industry, and there are different departments, different things you need to look at. And that's what Mr. Surti gave me, the insight, and that prompted me and that motivated me to go for this. And I started preparing an entrance exam, and I got through. And my father, while I was choosing my 3 places, my father said, look, we are from North India, we are settled in East India. Why don't you choose a space or place where none of us have ever been, and you will get to learn something. Hospitality is about people and cuisines and cultures. So I chose Chennai, and luckily I got Chennai. And so I come back to my previous point that Jamshedpur was a bubble, and the moment I stepped out of Jamshedpur, I landed in Chennai. It was like being in a foreign country.
Right.
I didn't understand the language. I didn't understand the gestures. Food, of course, you knew that there's dosa in Italy, but beyond that, there's a lot more. Nobody knew what Madrasi food those days. Anything below Hyderabad was Madras. So I landed there and started my journey. But within 3 months, I fell in love with Chennai. I thought, wow, what a place. And I made lots of friends there. Started exploring more and more of South India. I went to Kerala, went to Hyderabad, went to Trivandrum. The more I saw, the more I fell in love with. And I started thinking more in terms of food and more learning. So all those 3 years, every time I had a holiday, I stayed back in South India only, in one way or other. Or either I invited myself to one of my friends' house to work in their farms with them, or I would go and work in a hotel. Just some sort of experience. I just wanted to absorb that culture more and more. And my parents were quite scared that he'll never come back. He's just going to live there forever. Well, at the end of the 3rd year, I got selected in Oberoi School of Hotel Management, and I moved to Delhi to study with them. And 3 years of rigorous training. Part of that, I had to move back to East India, to Bhubaneswar for some time to train there, which was an awful initially, because it was from Chennai to Delhi and then Bhubaneswar, such a chilled out life. But again, it took 3 months, and I was in love with Bhubaneswar. Didn't want to leave Bhubaneswar. It was such a beautiful culture, such beautiful people. Food was amazing. I never thought anything of Oriya food. But once I got into it, I was like, wow, this is proper gastronomic experience here. You got to understand, you got to really learn how our people are. And then moving back to Delhi again, because I was summoned back to Delhi to work there. And I worked there for, I think about a year or so, year and a half. And then I got headhunted to come to London to open a restaurant called Tamarind. So since 1994, end of 1994 or early 95, you can say, London has been home for me.
That's incredible. So from Jamshedpur to Chennai to Delhi to Bhubaneswar to Delhi to London. That's an incredible journey, I would say. And you're right when you say that how, what you brought out is the diversity of the country that we're living in. So each place has its own uniqueness. And I would say, when we don't appreciate that place, it doesn't mean, but when you start loving it, that's when you absorb more and more and start building that into your work and everything.
And when it comes to cuisine, I think again, the terminology Indian cuisine is a mishmash. It's a very confused concept. So after cooking for 25 years, I finally have kind of got this gyan that we don't have Indian cuisine. We have cuisines of India. And people need to look at it through that prism. And that's so important that we preach that to our youngsters, to our fledglings, to make them understand that how our country is, how beautiful it is, how united it is. And it's really an honor to be born Indian.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Now, coming to the next, question or rather experience that people want to hear. You've cooked, curated menus, fed so many different personalities in the world, right from Prince Charles to Pratibha Patil to George Clooney to the Queen herself. So,
Yes.
what was your experience working with these kind of personalities? And I'm sure everybody wants to know more about this aspect of your work area in the last few years.
It's been amazing, to be honest. When you meet people on one-to-one basis, they are no different than you are, to be honest. Everyone is accomplished in their own life, be it Bollywood star, be it a politician, be it an engineer, be it astronaut. Because they are expert, they are so good in their field that they have pushed themselves to the limit. And there's always something to learn, and that's what it is. And my take is, of course, I want to cook for them, and that'll be an honor for me to be able to. Not that I want to tick. There's a box I need to tick. I don't have that. But what I seek is a 2-minute conversation with each of those personalities, and my quest has always been, what can I get to know about them, and what I take away from that meeting, because I want to learn something, something that makes me fulfilled. Cooking, of course, it's very fulfilling, and getting a feedback from them is amazing. So one of the most renowned personality is the famous painter, the one who used to go bare feet all the places, Mr.
M.F. Hussain.
M.F. Hussain.
Right.
So I got to cook for him 2-3 times while working at Banaras. And one day he stopped me. He was leaving, and I was talking to another guest, and I didn't see him. So he came to me. He said, "This is the 3rd visit in this year, and I just want to say you are getting better at cooking biryani." And that put the biggest smile on my face, because he was super critical about biryani. Day one, he told me how he likes his biryani, and I said, "I'll definitely try my best." And every time I would go and talk to him, he said, you're getting there. You're getting better. You're getting better. And if I remember it right, that was my last meeting. After that, I didn't get to see him again. But that was very, very heartwarming. So, small comments like that, and also their own persona, the way they think, the way they conduct themselves, it's all inspirational. So it doesn't matter what field you come from or what work you do. Whenever you find people who have achieved something in their life, or they are accomplished, or they are the best, top of the tops, there is something to take away from them. And it's very important that we show respect, and if possible, strike a small conversation.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Really amazing. Tell us something about your school days. You mentioned that you changed schools when you were in Jamshedpur. Some memories, anecdotes, any mischief you did in school, maybe one or two such. And in Shiksha Niketan, especially since your mother was a teacher there, did that be a kind of a, I would say, something that you were scared of at home and at school? Were there any incidents, you wanted to quickly share with us?
So, from my junior schools until class 10th in Shiksha Niketan, one way or other, my mother has always been in my school. So when I met my wife, who was a teacher, and all my life I said, I'm never going to marry a teacher. And guess what? I fall in love with a teacher. Happens. So one thing I made her promise to me, that I said, when we'll have children, you promise me that you will never teach in the same school where our children will go, because that's the last thing I want them to have. And it was tough. Let's put it this way, that, being a teacher's son in the same school isn't easy, because you are under the scrutiny all the time. Good, bad, ugly. If you are a quiet boy, you are dumb. If you talk too much, you are being very smart. So there was no middle ground somewhere. So I had it tough, to be honest. And it's not that I hated it. It's just that I didn't need that much of attention. And I was somebody who was happy to be in the crowd and enjoy my life too. So I often complain to mom that I don't know when the school starts and when it finishes. It's not fair. So I never got to do any mischief. That's an honest thing. So I was super conscious that I don't do anything that will embarrass my mother, or I don't do anything where I look bad. because everything will spiral back to my mother. And I was super conscious of that. So it turned out to be that, yeah, he's quite a simple boy, and he's hardly involved in any mischievous activities. Whereas deep inside, I really wanted to be a naughty boy. I wanted to do all those naughty things. I just couldn't. But I think Shiksha Niketan school was very special. I have such beautiful memories from there, the teachers and the building itself, and all the cultural programs that were always created that brought us together. It was just fantastic. I think I consider myself very fortunate that got through that system. Very lucky.
Sure. Any favorite teacher of yours that you remember? Because I'm familiar with some of them still, but any teacher that you remember very fondly?
I can't remember the names, to be honest. The faces are very, very clear to me, but names I don't remember. But one of the teachers, actually, it's sadly that I will not say it's Shiksha Niketan. The memory have faded a bit. You can blame my gray hair. But one of the teachers from Chinmaya Vidyalaya, and that was the principal, Mr. Gupta. He was an amazing, charismatic personality. I absolutely adored him. He was tough. He was strict. I think I got told off by him. And I think I was a little bit more naughtier in that school because my mother wasn't there in +2. But guess what? There was an auntie who was, we lived in a house which was a three-story house. And the number 2 floor, she used to live there. And I said, come on, this can't be happening to me. I'm in the same building with my class teacher. So unfair. But Mr. Gupta was a kind of idol, and I looked up to him for a lot of things. The man, he could, when, I don't know whether you saw that movie, 3 Idiots.
Yes.
I wouldn't call him virus, but he was as intelligent as that person. He could write with his both hands, left and right, spoke many languages. He conducted himself really well. His face is absolutely clear, never forgotten his name. So I always looked up to him. So great guy.
In fact, his daughter Pooja was my classmate.
Oh, was
she? She'll be extremely happy to hear, and I'm sure she'll convey it back to Gupta uncle about you remembering him.
Please,
we'll do that, and we'll see how you can get connected to him if you want to speak to him. We'll try and do that as well.
Absolutely, would love to.
When you meet somebody and during the course of the conversation you realize that he or she is from Jamshedpur. Has any incident like this happened to you, and when you just you're talking to somebody you've just met and you realize, oh, Jamshedpur, and then the course of conversation changes, and in my case I've realized my Hindi also changes. I start bringing back the ek tho and do tho and the thongas and all. So has any such thing happened to you? I'm sure you'll be meeting so many people. Has any such thing happened?
Happens all the time. So there is a kind of sizable Bihari population here in London, and I got connected to them somehow. And as we were talking, and I said, one of the most beautiful memories of Jamshedpur is the festival of Chhat and having tekwa. And they just laughed at it. They said, oh my God, you still remember that? I said, of course I do. And then every Chhat, they send those tekwas to me. They perhaps it's coming from India, or they are making it at home. A big bag arrives every year without fail after Chhat for me. So I'm really blessed with that. So that's one thing. There's one of the most beautiful thing about Jamshedpur is it's an amalgamation of cultures. So you had best of South India, you had best of East India, you had best of North India, East, South, Northwest, everything was there. So food-wise, because I'm involved in food, it's often conversation just gets stuck there. And one of the best times of life in Jamshedpur was always around Durga Puja. So my Durga Puja memories are still fresh. The smells, the taste, all those things come alive. And I absolutely would give anything to relive that time again. And I don't know when, but hopefully soon in my life, one day I'll be able to be there in Durga Puja and experience it. And I remember, walking from one pandal to another, tirelessly. If you had a bike, you were a king. I'm talking push bike, not motorbike. If motorbike, then definitely you were a king. But those days, even a push bike was a great thing. But I think those memories are just beautiful. And
Right.
food is just beautiful. I think one of the good memories of Jamshedpur is, if you remember, in Sakchi there was a Basan Talkies, and in front
Right.
of Basan Talkies in the evening, especially during, I think it was throughout the year, but winter especially, there used to be a lot of trucks, food trucks standing there, and they were making egg rolls.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, I salivate thinking about it. I'm sure there was the worst junk food we all have ever eaten, but the taste was just amazing.
So have these, things like thekua or things like litti chokha, things like egg rolls, have that kind of made an influence into your, any of your menus that you've done?
They do from time to time. It depends what I'm creating and where my memories are being drawn from. Because I'm not restricted to only one part of India. My thought process is opened up, and I like to just include flavors from wherever possible. So yes, they from time to time they do. So especially if I'm quite biased. If you read my menus, you will see it very clearly. I'm quite biased towards East India and South India. In spite of being a North Indian chap, I am quite biased towards these two regions. So you see these flavors coming in all the time. So Bengali food is something I grew up with. Those flavors are just fresh in my mind, and even the small, very simple thing as during Durga Puja, the bhog that was given to Ma, the strong flavor of bay leaf and long, I just mesmerize on it. And when I create food, I try to bring those memories back and infuse my food with that.
In fact, you're right. The bhog that they serve, even though you might, as much as possible, we try to replicate at home if you want to eat the khichuri, but that Durga Puja stuff is different. You cannot
You can't.
replicate that.
You
You
can't
cannot.
replicate it, that's for sure, because I think there is some magical moment where some godly things happen to the food, and I think that's what I would put it down to. But yes, you can't recreate it. You can go closer to it, trying to think about it. So in a lot of ways, I call it, okay, this is the Shraddhanjali I have. But I love creating those flavors again. Look, I've seen Durga Puja almost wherever I have lived in my life, because that's one time I kind of find time to go and see what's happening, and going and doing Mass Darshan is something very important. So I can tell you that with experience that I've seen it happening in South India. I've seen it in Delhi. Of course, I've been to Calcutta many times. Calcutta is magical, no doubt about it. But Jamshedpur is one special place. It's really one special place.
So you spoke about Basant Talkies and the egg rolls out there. Any other place in Jamshedpur that you kind of remember when it comes to food, and you're like, oh, I wish I could go back and have that from.
I think all of thing I want to do. So Fakira's Chanachur, I hugely kind of miss. There is a friend of mine whose parents, they live in Jamshedpur, and they happen to live a few doors away from my grandparents' house in Circuit House. So whenever they come and visit here in London, their standard order is, please make sure there's a 5 kilo of chanachur coming for Atul. So that does come. So, and it finishes in no time in my house. My kids are addicted to it as well. So I have to share with them, which is a shame, but it is what it is. Som Papdi from Jamshedpur. I think that's amazing. I don't know how much you remember from in Bistupur. There was a Madrasi hotel. And I don't know what was the name, but it was called
Anand.
Madrasi.
I think it was Anand.
I have absolutely no idea. I just remember it was Madrasi Hotel. The dosas from there were just amazing.
Right.
There was another Chinese restaurant in
Right.
Bistupur. Again, I can't remember the name of that.
Frank's.
That's it.
Yes.
I absolutely adore the food from there. It's just amazing that your memories just come back. There was a photographer's family in, I think they're in Bistupur, and also they were in Sakchi. Tankies
was there. Yes, they also had another branch in Telco in Sector Market.
Yeah, so family of Thankies, the people were there, just walking past and saying hello to them because they had known 2, 3 generations in my family. And once in a while, those days I had much longer hair and more beautiful hair. Getting my photo done by them, and they would do it for free sometimes. So all those things are really beautiful memories from there. Really love it.
Um, since you mentioned about how your kids love, the chanachur from Fakiras, if you were to describe Jamshedpur to them, what would you describe the city as? Have they been to Jamshedpur?
No, they haven't. The way I describe them is it's one of the cleanest city in India. It's one of the most cosmopolitan place on Indian subcontinent. Uh, you could connect to people very easily. They are more approachable than anywhere else in India. Uh, I also, especially with all the problems we are having with our divisions of thought process, and also perhaps it's more political than religious. So I often tell them Jamshedpur never had any of those things. We were just Jamshedpurians. We were united at that part. I never had to worry about which family I came from. If I did something wrong on the street, I'll get told off by an elder, and I would respect it because he would know somebody in my family who could come back to my parents very easily. So there was a mutual respect, mutual love, mutual affection, and humongous love for our own city. And I have not seen that anywhere else in India, at least. So now people talk about their own cities. I wouldn't get political on this, but I think Jamshedpur still stands unique. Anybody who has spent a couple of years in Jamshedpur very proudly says, I'm part of Jamshedpur. And that's a very big thing. So we are a massive community, and we are incredibly proud of ourselves. I find maybe I live abroad and I see it a bit differently, but I feel that in India, we are not beginning to understand our country's strength, to be honest. And I think that's the biggest shame, because we are truly a unique country. Nowhere in the world you have such a large diversity. People from different thought process, people who have very different physical outlook, and all the religions you can think about, they're all there in India. If you come up with a new religion in any part of the world, give it a month and it'll be in India too. So we are that adaptive country. So I think that's our strength. That's what makes us unique. And I think the new generation, if they understand and appreciate it, it'll be a lot better. There is no fun in fighting about any other subject, especially religion, because I truly believe that if we learn to love each other as humans, then there's nothing else left. We will have a very peaceful world, and that's what we need.
How true, and absolutely. I mean, and I'm hoping that people realize this as more and more. We hear so much controversies, and it's not a good thing. I mean, we should just try and embrace as much as possible, because humanity is, I guess, the only religion that we should be
That is the only thing that matters.
respect. Yes. Coming back to food, what is that ghar ka khana that you crave for when you really had a tired day and you kind of come back? What is that comfort food?
You will laugh at it, but chawal dal remains to be my favorite.
Wonderful.
So there are a lot of times that we go for travel, and we are traveling Europe or we're going to America. You eat in all sorts of fancy restaurants and come back home. My wife is called Deepthi, so me and Deepthi would come back home, and kids on the plane, we are about to touch down, and they say, we know what we are eating tonight, either khichdi or chawal dal. And they agree. Actually, that decision is unanimous. There is no controversies on that one. There's no problems on that one. Everybody's craving for that. So I think we have brought up our kids exactly like we were brought up. So they agree to it very easily. And I think the most humble food, or the food of your childhood, is the most beautiful memory of food you have. And I think I gave them, or my wife gave them also, what we had it. So they also love that. And once in a while, I kind of, when I get behind the kitchen stove here at home, I try to create a chokha for them and a little bit of kachari for them and all that. So they love it. That they get a little bit of Bihari flavor coming through. So they admire it. They love it. Sadly they haven't gone and experienced it yet. Hopefully one day soon.
One day, yes, hopefully soon. Little bit on cricket, since you love that sport. I did read somewhere that you love cricket a lot. So, any memories of playing cricket in the grounds in Jamshedpur? I'm sure there was a lot of open space or school, because I believe someone told me the other day that Shiksha Niketan used to have one of the best cricket teams in the 80s. So I was like, okay, let me ask Atul that.
So I did play for the school team, and I was a middle order batsman. I did fairly well. But one of the most beautiful memory was to go to the stadium, Kinnan Stadium, and watch the match sitting inside the stadium, so by the rope. And I'll tell you a very, very funny joke, and you will connect to it. My wife doesn't find it funny, but I hope you do. So we were sitting, and England was playing East Zone those days. You know, there used to 3 or 4 day matches used to happen. So my dad's one of my dad's friend was Superintendent of Police of Jamshedpur, and Singh uncle, KP Singh his name was. So we said, uncle, we want to watch the match, but we really want to see the players as well. He says, okay, मैं आपको सिपाहियों के साथ अंदर बैठा देता हूँ. So massive privilege, you know, there's a large crowd sitting there and you're allowed to sit inside. So we sat with all these police wallahs down there on the grass. And then a shot came from one of the East Zone players, and the ball came towards us. And you know, those days you had not seen many English people, many white people in the country, and you were mesmerized looking at them. My God, there's a white person here in our part of the woods. So this guy came running, and the ball came to this police guy. And he picked up the ball, and the other guy says, "Arey, ye jo ball lene aa raha hai, ye Underwood hai kya?" Well, so this police guy says, अरे हमें क्या मालूम अंदरवुड है कि बाहरवुड है, सबका खोमा एक जैसा ही लगता है.
That's amazing. And you still remember this?
I think I was in class 9. I just couldn't stop laughing. Like, yeah, this is typical that part of the world.
Yeah. Any friends you remember and want to get in touch with? You know, I'm sure you have so many friends from Jamshedpur today.
You know, luckily, thanks to social media, that there's a big group of Shiksha Niketan. There's a massive group of Chinmaya Vidyalaya. Some of the students, some of the friends I haven't managed to connect with from Arya Samaj. So some of them I would love to connect. So there's one specific guy whose family was a trader, and they had a kind of atta chakki stroke spice chakki in Sakchi Bazaar. And his name was, I can't remember his surname, but his first name was Govind. And I still remember Govind's lovely face and really full of life, very sweet man, very good friend, and a great humor as well. And if I remember it right, Govind was being brought up by his grandparents, if I'm not wrong. He had lost his parents, and his dada was looking after him. So after school, he used to spend time in the shop religiously. But the moment we would go to see him, his dada would say, "Okay, 1 ghante ka time deta hu, ghumao." And he would get this 1 hour off with us, and we'll go have whatever samosas and the chai and catch up and meet, talk about things the teenage boys would do those days. And I always wanted to, in my heart, I always want to go back and see him and get in touch with him. But since I haven't been back, so I can't find him, and I haven't seen him on social media also, so I don't know whether I'll be able to meet him. But yes, he's one person who I miss.
I realized that during the course of the conversation, the word samosa came in thrice. Are you really? Yes. Do you really love samosa, shingara that much? Because I also happened to read somewhere that you kind of built an analogy of samosa with the pie. And that actually quite intrigued me. I went through that whole the piece, and I was like, okay, we've never thought about it, that samosa could be a pie as well.
So I think, you know, every country has a casing of pastry and something filled in it. Either it's fried or baked. It's a very human thing, to be honest. And I have traveled South America. I've traveled all the continents, and I've experienced food in different places as well. So everybody has a kind of samosa stroke pie. So either I choose to call everything a samosa, or I choose to call samosa a pie. Pie, more people understand. So that's why I said, I think it's a pie, in my opinion, because it's a casing and there's a filling. That's what it is. And it works incredibly well. And you give it to anybody who's not from India, has never had Indian food. If it's mildly spiced and the right vegetables are used, or meat, if they eat meat, they just love samosa. They absolutely love samosa. So that's why I called it a pie.
Amazing. Okay, so before we end, any advice to entrepreneurs, budding chefs, the generation who's going to follow some of the magics that you guys have created?
So the biggest advice I would like to give to all the youngsters, at least in India, or associated, who wants to get associated with the Indian food, travel your country well. Go as far as you can, meet people, try to live with them, try to live in their shoes, and try to understand what they mean when they talk about their food, how passionate they are. So I recently opened my new restaurant called Kanishka, and I inspired it from Seven Sister States. Nobody has ever thought of doing that, and everybody thought it was a very bold move. But within 18 months of opening, I think my restaurant is one of the top 10 restaurants in London. It's a very unique food, very little known. So we have noodles, we have dumplings, we feed people Indian food with chopsticks. So those are the things which nobody thought Indian food will have, but we have it. It's part of our culture, and we have to respect and love it. So I think there are a lot more uniqueness about our culture. And when I say cuisines of India, I truly mean it's cuisines of India. And I think that's how we should look at it. And as far as advice to youngsters are concerned, and especially given the current circumstances we are in during the COVID, and lots of them are sitting home getting bored and can't see the positive side to the life. It's happening all over the world. So the only positive message I'll give that, and these are my father's words, so I'm just repeating, if good times don't last, same with the bad time, they don't last either. So this will go away, but get ready to have good time again. Stay positive, work hard, don't give up. Things will return to normal in no time, even quicker than you think they will. So if you're not ready that time, then it'll be tough. You keep working hard. That's what you need to do.
How true. So that's the end, Atul, and thank you from all of us in Jamshedpur who will hear you, who've been following you, following your success stories, and a lot of best wishes from all of us, and hope to see your name rise and shine more and more in the coming years. But thank you so much once again, taking time out of your busy schedule, talking to us, and best wishes from all of us.
Thank you, Sukanya. It's been a pleasure to be able to come on Jamshedpur Adda. Definitely my place to be. And I just love Jamshedpur. Hopefully I'll come back to visit soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Amrita. I hope you enjoyed the Adda with Chef Atul Kochhar.
Yes.
हम इस अड्डा के एपिसोड के आखिरी पड़ाव पे आ चुके हैं. अमृता, अब क्या सुनाओगी हम सबको?
मैं इस पड़ाव में एक बहुत ही खास महत्वपूर्ण सूचना आप सबको देना चाहती हूँ कि आज से ठीक 2 दिन बाद 28 सितंबर 28 सितंबर एक बहुत ही महान हस्ती जो आज भी हमारे बीच मौजूद हैं, श्रीमती लता मंगेशकर जी का बर्थडे है, उनका जन्मदिन है, और मैं उनके सम्मान में मैं 2 गीत आपके सामने प्रस्तुत करना चाहती हूँ. पहला गीत है मेरा अंतिम पड़ाव का मेरा 2 पहला गीत है मासूम मूवी, जिनके म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर थे आर.डी. बर्मन जी, तुझसे नाराज नहीं जिंदगी. और उसके बाद एक अंतिम सॉन्ग मैं प्रस्तुत करने जाऊंगी, वो है घर मूवी के जो लास्ट सॉन्ग है मेरा, आपकी आंखों में कुछ महके हुए से ख्वाब. ये 2 सॉन्ग मैं गाना चाहती हूँ लता जी के सम्मान के लिए. तुझसे नाराज नहीं जिंदगी, हैरान हूँ मैं, हो हैरान हूँ मैं, तेरे मासूम सवालों से परेशान हूँ मैं, हो परेशान हूँ मैं, तुझसे नाराज नहीं
आपकी आँखों में महके हुए से राज है, आपकी आँखों में कुछ महके हुए से राज है, आपसे भी खूबसूरत आपके अंदाज है, आपकी आँखों में कुछ महके हुए से राज है। लब हिले तो मोगरे के फूल खिलते हैं कहीं, लब हिले तो मोगरे के फूल खिलते हैं कहीं, आपकी आँखों में क्या साहिल भी मिलते हैं कहीं, आपकी खामोशियाँ भी आपकी आवाज़ है, आपकी आँखों में महके हुए से राज है, आपसे भी खूबसूरत आपके अंदाज है, आपकी आँखों में कुछ महके हुए से राज है।
Amrita, that has been an incredible performance, and I'm sure you have made new fans for your music.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you for being part of the Adda episode today.
I loved to come over here and thank you so much for this invitation. And मैं चाहूंगी कि आपका ये जैमपॉट अड्डा और आगे बढ़े और सिर्फ आगे बढ़े. Thank you so much. नमस्कार.
तुम ऐसे ही गाती रहो सदा, यही शुभकामनाएं हम सब के तरफ से तुम्हारे लिए. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
With that, we come to an end of another episode. A special thanks to Evan Thomas, a film student from Bharati Vidyapeeth School of Photography, who helped edit this episode for us. Keep watching this space for our next episode on October 10th, same time. Till then, stay safe and best wishes from Team Jampot Adda.